Welcome back to the channel. Today we are in Sunderland. That's right, Sunderland. We're going to have a look at game, we're going to have a look at cash converters, we're going to have a look at CEX, and we're going to have a look and see what we can pick up on the cheap. Did you know that Sunderland has a national esports performance campus and also has the British Esports Federation? Well, I certainly didn't. They really should advertise that. An absolute hub for esports, and I never hear anything about that. Very strange. We do have Spacebar Sunderland, however, which actually does have a ton of really cool arcade machines and this very fancy Street Fighter mural outside of it. Up the stairs is Sports Direct into game. I'm going to be honest, I hate going all the way up here, and I've actually spoken to the staff and they have said not many people come up here. It's very uncommon for people to actually make all the way up the stairs and go to game at the back of a Sports Direct. I know they're trying to get games this healthy, but come on, stairs? Absolutely ridiculous. Past all the jigsaws and board games into the game section, and a few nice games here and there. They've got Deathloop, they've got System Shock for the PlayStation 5. They also have Risen, which I did pick up not so long ago on the Nintendo Switch. I believe that was Washington game, I picked that one up. Moving into the Switch section, and yeah, we have one title I've actually been after, Railway Empire 2. Now, if you guys remember, I actually came to pick up Railway Empire 2 a few months ago when I first went to the Sunderland store, and it was fairly expensive. Railway Empire 2 is a sequel to Railway Empire in which you have to plot and design a real network. It is mainly set in America, but hey, if you like your transport titles, this one is one that's worth looking into. There's a few other titles here. We have Red Dead Redemption, which is a code in the box. Unfortunately with gaming, it just tends to be a lot of code in the boxes. We also have this Worms Armageddon. Now, I actually picked up Worms Armageddon at the tail end of last year when they released it as a collector's edition. And honestly, I really enjoy this collection. It is Worms Armageddon, the classic Worms title. However, this one does have a bunch of extra stuff. It's got like a lot of obviously the collector's edition have like pins and like pamphlets and all the jazz you would expect in the collector's edition. The cartridge as well also had the Game Boy Color variant of Worms Armageddon, so it was very interesting to try that one out and see how they managed to get Worms Armageddon to work on the Game Boy Color. But in general, Worms Armageddon is just a really fun game and one of the best Worms games, if not the best Worms game. I like Worms World Party. But yeah, it's nice to see that this has its own single one. A few other 2 for £20, but these are all cordon boxes. You know, Assassin's Creed. I saw 2 Point Campus, which I'm assuming actually is the normal version. Few Switch 2 titles here, but nothing grabbing my eye. At this point, I've got pretty much everything I want for Switch 2 physically. There's a few other titles, but it's game. They're all overpriced. Let's just pick up our Railway Empire and check out, shall we? CEX Sunderland, and blimey, this video has already shown its age. Look, there's spooky things in the window. Can you tell when this was actually recorded? Yeah, this is a little bit of a hold back one. Moving inside, and we have the Xbox Tat, and straight to the retro section. Always nice to see stuff, and this CEX is usually pretty well stocked in terms of retro games. A nice healthy little PlayStation section, Game & Watch titles, oh nice to see. And a few other, and I'm looking for Game Boy and N64. Look at that, Pokemon Fire Red. So both Pokemon Fire Red and Pokemon Leaf Green are two of the most popular titles on the Game Boy Advance, simply because they are Pokemon. That's right, and in order to get a boxed version of these Pokemon games, they're going to cost you a very pretty penny. I'm going to be perfectly honest, this one was very much tempted me. I was very much tempted with it. It's a very nice box, but it was a little bit too expensive. it sold pretty much straight away, by the way. And by the time I got home, I think it was already sold out. N64, we've got a few nice titles. PlayStation, a nice healthy set amount of titles. But let's look at Switch first. And straight away, there's a few titles catching my eye here. There's a few titles I've noticed with this Sunderland one. They do seem to have a few titles that I don't normally see. First up, we have One Piece Pirate Warriors 3, which is actually going up in price. This is £50 now. Expensive game. One Piece Pirate Warriors 3 is actually my favourite One Piece Pirate Warriors title and one of my favourite One Piece games. You play as Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, Chopper, Nico Robin, Frankie, along with a bunch of other fan favourite characters in the One Piece world, and go across multiple maps just destroying fodder. That's right, it is a Musou game. And if you guys know me on the channel, I have been picking up Musou titles over and over. I picked up Warriors Orochi from Galaxy Games. I picked up Hyrule Warriors for the Nintendo Switch 2. I already own Pirate Warriors 3 along with Pirate Warriors 4 on the Nintendo Switch, but it is really nice to see it on the shelves of CEX. We also have this one, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. Don't see that one very often, honestly. It's a title that a lot of people do like. I had it all, I think I had the blue one, I want to say, on the DS. So there's a blue one and then there was a red one that was on the Game Boy Advance. I got the blue one because I had a DS at the time. I don't remember playing much of it, but I know a lot of the DS titles, and I think the 3DS titles are quite beloved. Plenty of other Pokemon games. I need to start picking these up. I just kept leaving them. The usual Red Dead Redemption. I think every CEX Switch section has a Red Dead Redemption these days. It's getting fairly common. A few other titles here that I don't see too often as well, which is this one. Another Story of Seasons. Now, I actually do own this one physically. It is yet another Story of Seasons, another Harvest Moon title in which, well, you run a farm and you date the locals and raise animals and what have you. What do you expect? It's a Harvest Moon game. But the other one as well is this one, South Park The Fractured But Whole. Now, this one is a title that I actually would love to own on the Nintendo Switch. However, it is pretty much a direct sequel to South Park The Stick of Truth. And on the PlayStation versions, you actually got the Stick of Truth included with Fractured But Whole. On the Switch one, as far as I'm aware, you don't actually get them, which is a huge shame. If I had both of them, I would have picked this one up. Very expensive, but it is an older game, and it's considered a decent port. If I ever replay this, I want it to be on here. Moving on, unfortunately my finger's in the way. Naughty finger. We've got a few other titles. We've got Sonic Racing and this one, The Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel 3 Enrollment Edition. And I'm putting it back. I would love to own that, but I'll tell you why. It's missing stuff. Unbox Newbie's Adventure. Now, Unbox Newbie's Adventure is actually a game I played way back when at Eurogamer, just before it was going to come out, and I could just never get into it. I don't know what it was. You play as basically a box. That's right, you play as a box and go on box-related adventures. At the time, I remember waiting quite a while just to get in the queue for it and waited a while just to kind of like try it out. I remember being very underwhelmed by it. It's always so cheap. I think even now, I think it's actually dropped in price a little bit since seeing this. But yeah, if you want a box-related adventure, I'm assuming Unbox is probably something that's going to be up your alley. I want to try it someday, but I'm not in any rush to do so. Like, I kind of just ignored that. Unravel in the background as well. Is that Unravel 2, I believe? Yeah, that was an EA game that I really wanted to try, just didn't. Switch 2 stuff as well. It's nice to see that. Look, we've got Donkey Kong Bonanza. Donkey Kong Bonanza. I'm going to be honest, if we're talking Game of the Year for a game that just came out this year, I think Donkey Kong Bonanza is probably going to be on the top of my list. It was just such a really fun title just to sit down and play it and just enjoy. I sometimes don't get that feeling when I play modern games anymore. I know a lot of modern games have to be kind of like, they're taking you on an experience and blah, but the Donkey Kong Bonanza was just pure fun and took me back to my days of playing like Banjo-Kazooie and Mario 64 and all those other collectathon titles. Not so much Donkey Kong Country. It is very much more like Mario 64 than it is Donkey Kong Country. Other ones, we've got Elder Scrolls Skyrim, which obviously I picked up not so long ago, Crash Team Racing, a few other titles that I don't see too often as well. Digimon Survive. Now, I think I picked this one up time and time again, and yeah, it's Digimon. It's more of a visual novel, this one, however, it does have some turn-based combat. Digimon fans seem to really enjoy it, and I think just about every single other person in the entire world seem to really not like it, which... yeah, it's a shame. This is not the last time we will talk about Digimon on this video, however, because I actually have just picked up a Digimon game from Cash Converters, so once we get back I will show that one off for you. Another one there, Hello Kitty Island Adventures, £42. That seems really expensive to my eyes. I don't know why. I know that it was a bit of a joke that Butters was playing it, but it's a fairly new game, but I always would think something like that shovelware type game would kind of drop in price really fast. I did have Hello Kitty on the Wii U when I had a full Wii U collection, and it was rubbish. It was absolutely appalling. A few others here. We've got Batman Arkham Trilogy. We've got the Bayonetta spin-off, Ceres and the Lost Demon. Now, I still need to pick up Bayonetta 1, but I own 2 and 3. I'm a huge fan of the franchise. This is one that I see drops down in price quite often. It dips around the same kind of like £20, £25, brand new. So £25 is a little bit expensive for me, but it is one that people always mention to be a bit of a hidden gem. I think it's one that people are speculating is going to be fairly expensive in the future. But for now, I'll pick it up, but I'm not in any rush to do so. Many more titles for the Switch. FIFAs. Oh, I don't know how we've got so many FIFA titles. I was in one CEX the other day, and it was just a wall of FIFAs, more or less. Absolutely grim. Very grim indeed. Mario titles, got Luigi's Mansion 3, which I actually believe people say like Luigi's Mansion 3 is better than 1, but I don't know. I recently played Luigi's Mansion 1 and I felt that the first one being a really compact title really worked to its advantage. Luigi's Mansion 3 was really enjoyable, but it kind of did just drag on that a little bit much. But that might just be me. I think I'm going to try it again sometime, but I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it, but it wasn't one that I didn't think it was as good as the first one, in my opinion. What do you guys think? Do you prefer the first one or the third one? Or are you a Luigi's Mansion 2 fan? Ooh, rare. But yeah, it's Mario Central here. There's plenty of Mario games I've never played on this console, but many that I have. We also have this one, Master Detective Reincode. Now, this is one that was fairly expensive at one point, but I have noticed is dropping time and time again. Made by the people who made Danganronpa, and this is one that, I'm going to be honest, I haven't played it, but if it's like Danganronpa, it's going to be pretty much a treat for the eyes in terms of the character designs, but I've not heard many people talking about it. Have you played it? Let me know. A few other times. Metal Gear Solid, I noticed this on the Switch, but it's always, again, it's expensive. This one, Project Ladybug, I think it's called. Yeah, oh, naughty me, I left that slightly askewed. Moving into 3DS, nothing really there. We've got Dragon Quest, we've got Pokemon. I actually do need to pick up the Pokemon titles on the 3DS. I've got Pokemon Moon, but if I'm honest, I really did not like Pokemon Moon on the 3DS. I've got both X and Y. I've got Moon. I'm missing Sun, Ultra Sun, and Ultra Moon. Simply because I didn't like Moon. That was my dark days for Pokemon, if I'm honest. But yeah, I need to go back and pick them up. I just haven't done so. I think Sun's cheap, but Ultra Sun and Moon are expensive. Annoying. Moving into GameCube, and there's a selection. It's your usual titles, I suppose. You know, Sonic Heroes, Mario Kart, Metroid, Luigi's Mansion, Party. PlayStation, again, there's nothing really grabbing my eyes. I know I always look for stuff I actually want to pick up. I should maybe just have a look and see what's interesting, because I'm really starting to find that I'm just wandering through PlayStation. It really doesn't help when we've got walls and walls of FIFA though. They really need to start like kind of... I mean, does anybody buy FIFA from 3 or 4 years ago? I'm sure there's a FIFA collector out there, but it really puts me off when you try to look at stuff and then it's just like half the shelves is just FIFA. We do have Final Fantasy VII Remake on the PlayStation 4, which I think is fairly cheap. £10 for this is actually a really cheap deal, because as far as I remember, I paid £30 for it on PlayStation 5, and Square are going to try and re-release it again next year for £40 on the Switch, and I believe it's also getting a 2-pack with the second one for about £45. So yeah, £10 on the PlayStation 4 one is a really nice deal. They also have Fallout 4 for £3. That's a really, really good deal. But yeah, apart from that, it's the usual PlayStation titles that you see in just about every single CEX. There's plenty of PlayStation titles, but yeah, it just feels like you're just looking at the same things time and time again. At least that's how I feel sometimes. Call of Duty, so many Call of Duties. Death Stranding, that didn't take long to get into CEX, did it? Doom, that didn't take long either. Ghost of Yotei as well, look at that. I mean, I would love to play that game, but let's face it, it's in CEX already, and I'm going to be honest, it's a full price PlayStation 5 game when I'm finding stuff like Astrobot for £35 now. Yeah, I'm going to wait another year and get that game for £35. That's what I think I'm going to do rather than paying full price. Right guys, I'm back from Sunderland and honestly I had a pretty good time. Sunderland seems to be rather hit and miss when it comes to stock, but I know that they're pretty genuinely decent. And I picked up a few titles not just from CEX, but from Game and from Cash Converters, or was it Cash Generator? One of the two. And let's have a look. So, without further ado, we're going to talk the first one. And it's not good. Railway Empire 2. Railway Empire 2 is a sequel to the fantastic Railway Empire, which is a title that runs rather well on the Nintendo Switch. This is another one of your management simulators where you basically have your map, your little map of, well, we'll just say America or the UK, and you have to basically connect the train stations up and you have to haul freight or passengers between the stations. It's kind of like having your own little model train set, only on the big screen. And I'm going to be honest, I love these type of titles. I grew up with the titles such as Railway Tycoon 2, Railway Tycoon 3, I really enjoyed Transport Fever, I loved stuff like Roller Coaster Tycoon, and even stuff like Roller Coaster Tycoon was fantastic on the Nintendo Switch. Railway Empire 2 is broken. It is absolutely broken. This game just does not run on the Nintendo Switch, and it's quite embarrassing that they tried to push for it. Now, I appreciate the Nintendo Switch is not up to par with the PlayStation 4 or 5. But let's face it, we've had a lot of Wonder ports, we've had a lot of stuff like The Witcher 3, Nier Automata for example, which run absolutely fantastic on the original hardware. And Railway Empire, from what I've seen, actually runs quite well. Railway Empire 2 looks bad. It looks absolutely dreadful. And I'm saying, I know this gets thrown around a lot, but I genuinely would say this is graphics that you would expect on a PlayStation 2 game. And have they hampered the graphics to kind of make the gameplay workable? No. The gameplay slugs. It really struggles at every single turn. And I mean every single turn. The game crashed on the tutorial level. At least make your tutorial work. I mean, at the end of the day, I know I don't get to play a bunch and titles for a significant amount of time, but I should at least get an hour in before the game stutters and just crashes altogether. This game should never have been ported to the Nintendo Switch, and I feel like a mug for actually buying it. I found one review of this game that said it was bad. The other review said, it works okay, but it's a little bit choppy. Choppy is not the word for it. I've seen PlayStation 2 games run better. The graphics are appalling, and it doesn't I mean, at the end of the day, I can deal with bad graphics if the gameplay, which is addicting gameplay, works. This one doesn't. This one has been a big mistake for me, and it's a huge shame because I had high hopes for this one. High hopes indeed. Hopefully we'll get a Switch 2 patch, but honestly, I'm going to try and hunt down the original game and just play that one. Moving into the next store, and I picked up, well, this is a title that I haven't really been after, but it is a title that I have noticed has been increasing price on price, and it's a title that I did mention last time when I went to Washington about Digimon Time Stranger. Now, I haven't picked up Digimon Time Stranger, but I did pick up Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth Complete Edition. Now, I played the original Cyber Sleuth back in the day on the PlayStation 4, and I'm going to be honest, I had an okay time with it. It was very much trying to be a Persona game, only with a Digimon spin, and I'm going to be honest, I was at my focal point of trying to do trophies, trying to do platinums, and I'm going to be honest, I burnt out so much on that. The plot just kept going and going and going, and I just felt I just wasn't invested. I think I was more or less an hour or two before the end of the game, and I just felt I just wasn't bothered about what I was doing, so I stopped playing. And yeah, I picked this one up because, like I said, I'm going for a Nintendo Switch collection that anybody can look at and pick up a title that they will pick up and enjoy. And I feel like Digimon is still a franchise that is worth picking up, and I think, you know what, if I'm going to try this again, maybe without the whole crutch of having to rush and try and beat the game and do the game a certain way for trophies, I might enjoy it a little bit more. This was £20, which means it was £10 for each one. This has got both of the editions on cart, and honestly, they run pretty fine. At the end of the day, even for the PlayStation 4, it felt like a PlayStation 3 game. It shouldn't be anything that's too taxing on the Nintendo Switch itself. One thing I did point out though is that originally I was kind of like, oh, I'll play the second one, but I couldn't actually get the second one to just run from the title screen. I'm assuming you have to do so much of the original game to get the second one. I thought this was like a sequel, but I don't know. It's a very confusing of what this actually is, and very misleading because, yeah, you seem to have to, I don't know if it's like a DLC or if it was DLC released separately. I know I've seen it separately on the PlayStation 4. So yeah, it's an interesting pickup, but it's a pickup that I think was essential for the Nintendo Switch collection. I'll get to it eventually. Moving into CEX, and CEX had quite a few nice games. They had quite a few nice games, and a few that I had on my list to pick up. And the first one that I picked up was, well, it was Binding of Isaac Afterbirth. Now, Binding of Isaac Afterbirth was an initial launch title for the Nintendo Switch, and I remember being told at the time, ooh, that's expensive. That's an expensive title on the Nintendo Switch. Oh, the try and the look there. It's getting the Nintendo, like, the Nintendo money booster, where because it's on a Nintendo system, they charge more. And I believed that, and I was genuinely believing that. However, as time's gone on, and I've started to look at games not only for their playability, but for the collector aspect, I realised that Binding of Isaac Afterbirth was an essential title that I feel like I had to have in the collection. And I'm going to be honest, I'm having a blast with this. This isn't my first time with Binding of Isaac. I think I've had the original one on the PC, and honestly I actually had a lovely chat with the bloke in the shop who kind of said the same thing. He's like, oh, I played this on lot when it first came out, and I was like, oh yeah, this is like a 7-year-old game at this point. And yeah, we had a nice little that, and again, I like this. It's a roguelite where you're basically an unborn baby killing weird things. Yeah, it's quite gruesome, and it's quite its own little niche. It's a very unique title. Now, I'm going to be honest, I bought this, and pretty much the day after I bought it, they announced that there was going to be another edition released for the Switch 2. Every time. Every time. But again, this is an essential release. One thing I do need to ask for you guys who have collected Nintendo Switch, did this originally come with like stickers or anything else inside? There's nothing inside except, well, I've got the receipt, but it's got like a little story and kind of the cartridge, but it didn't have any stickers or anything like that, and I kind of wasn't sure if there was supposed to be more in. at the end of the day, it's one of those ones where it's old enough that you kind of are not looking to be able to get this stuff second hand, so I'm not really fussed about it. I just kind of want to know for information purposes. But honestly, this is one that I've had a really good time with. I've actually played and sank a good few hours into it, and I'm probably going to end up picking the Switch 2 version up as it is. Looking forward to seeing more of this one. The next one is one that caught my eye, and it is actually one of my most beloved franchises of all time. An RPG that I feel has genuinely became the goal to reach for RPGs. Now, it's a bit unfair because, well, it's Trails. It's Trails of, and I'm going to be honest, this one is like the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5... 8th game in the title, and it's, if you've ever read One Piece and you know how One Piece kind of rewards you the more you read on, with more characters popping up and stuff like that, this is very much like it. I have played this game twice on the PlayStation consoles, and I picked it up on the Switch. Now, the one that you saw in the video is not the same one, and the reason being, that one was missing all of the extras. This was new. And I've said this on the channel before, if I see something pre-owned but it's got a comparable, if not better price online, I'm going to buy it online. And so I did. I picked it up online. I'm still going to talk about it though. And yeah, again, this is another entry into the Trails of franchise. This is Trails of Cold Steel 3. Annoyingly, with the Nintendo Switch, we are missing Trails of Cold Steel 1 and 2 due to, I think it's due to the license and kind of stuff like that. So it's one of those ones that I love the franchise, but it's a bit hard recommending because this is not a jumping in point. It's a starting point. It is a starting point. But this is the third one, and this has you as Ring Schwarzer with one of the most awesome names of all time. And after the events of Trails of Cold Steel 1 and 2, where basically he was a student and then basically ended up being the pilot for the mech that ended up being the saviour of the Civil War, he becomes a teacher and he's teaching a new generation of students. Of course, you've got cameos from the previous ones, and we've got a lot of stuff that harks back to the Crossbell duology, which is Trails from Zero and Trails to Azure, which came out on the Nintendo Switch. This is what I'm saying, this is quite complicated. But yeah, it's a really good title, it's a really good lead-in, it's got a lot of complicated characters, I've got a lot of interesting characters, and leads into Trails of Cold Steel 4 and Trails Through the Reverie. I can't remember how all of these names kind of say it properly, but I love this franchise. It is easily one of the best RPGs, or GRPGs if you want to kind of separate them, of all time. Always ends up being a great playthrough. I'm looking forward to trying this again. Just let's try and get 1 and 2 out again. So, please. Nothing beats a good cup of tea. If you're enjoying this content, please leave a like and consider subscribing. Let me know in the comments what you have been picking up and what you're looking forward to picking up in the near future. So there was actually a genuine reason why I picked the Sunderland store to go to, and you guys know me. You know I'm collecting Nintendo 64. And what did I pick on the Nintendo 64 this time? Well, I picked up Automobile Lamborghini. CEX is always fairly cheap for N64 carts, and if it's stuff like racing games or sports games, well, I'm not really too fussed about having them complete. I'll always try and pick these up for fairly cheap. They had them cheap, I went and picked it up. It's a little bit dirty, but it's nothing that can be kind of cleaned up and gussied up a little bit. But what about Lamborghini is an interesting title because it actually pops up on a lot of hidden gem lists. It was made by Titus, who made stuff like Blues Brothers 2000, Carmageddon 64, Superman 64, so it doesn't really have a good pedigree. But I've had a go of this one, and honestly, I've had a decent time with it. I don't think it's still in the same as, say, Top Gear Rally or Top Gear Overdrive or anywhere near stuff like Mario Kart or some of the big proper races like Ridge Racer on the platform. But I think for the price, it's it's a good enough title. I liked it. I've enjoyed what I've played with it. It's just, I feel it's another drop in the ocean for the mass of racing games that the Nintendo 64 holds, that it just kind of struggles to kind of stand out. I think if you kind of want another racing game and you want to drive a Lamborghini, this one for the N64, it's decent enough. At least that's what my opinion is anyway. And for those keeping track, for those keeping record, this is number 161. That's right, we are about 70 games off getting a complete loose N64 collection. And I'm going to be honest, the temptation to start buying boxed versions is great. I know we've kind of got these bookworm light novels here, but I think I want that to be N64 games. At least that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. But join me, because I'm going back out on the hunt to another CEX, and we're going to find more N64 titles very shortly. If you enjoy this, leave a like, consider subscribing to the channel. It always helps out, and let me know what you guys have been picking up. Thanks for coming, and thanks again for staying. Goodbye.